unveiling the fiercest Native American tribes in history. While many indigenous groups showed strength and resilience, three in particular earned reputations that struck fear into both settlers and fellow tribes alike. These tribes weren't just powerful, they were downright terrifying, leaving a legacy of ferocity that echoes through history. In this video, we're diving into the chilling stories of three of the deadliest Native American tribes, including some you may not have heard of. But before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Even the mere mention of this tribe could send chills down spines, even among other indigenous peoples. Dubbed the Lords of the Plains, the Comanche were fierce beyond imagination. Their name, derived from the Ute word meaning those who always want to fight, truly captured their spirit. Their origins trace back to the Shoshone people, originally inhabiting the Great Basin region. Linguistic and cultural similarities show their connection to the Uto-Aztecan language family, spanning across much of the western United States. When Spanish settlers introduced horses to North America in the 1500s, it sparked a transformation across the plains. The Comanche, through trade with horse-owning tribes like the Pueblo and other plains groups, swiftly acquired these powerful animals. Exchanging buffalo hides, captives, and other resources, the Comanche quickly emerged as unrivaled horsemen, expanding their territory far from their ancestral lands. The plains of eastern Colorado and western Kansas, rich in buffalo, became central to their lifestyle. They used horses for travel, trade, hunting, and especially for warfare. A Comanche's wealth and status were often measured by how many horses they owned. Children learned to ride almost as soon as they could walk, and both men and women mastered the art of riding. The Comanche developed expert methods for capturing wild horses. Once spotted, a horse's neck would be roped, causing it to faint. Then, gently blowing into its nostrils would revive it. They cleaned it, removed wild hairs near the eyes, and fitted it with a headstall to begin training. By pairing it with a tame mare, the wild horse grew accustomed to human presence. After a few days of freedom near the herd, the new horse usually remained close. To tame it completely, handlers would guide it into soft terrain or shallow water to minimize resistance and cushion falls. Englishman William Blakemore, who lived with them for 8 years, described the Comanche as unremarkable on foot, but incredibly graceful on horseback. Perhaps the finest riders on the planet. In battle, they were ferocious and deadly, charging enemies with piercing cries, hiding their entire bodies behind their steeds, exposing only an arm or a leg, as they fired arrows or bullets under and over the horse's neck with remarkable precision. Each warrior had a trusted warhorse used only in combat. Even the women participated in the hunt and were known to rope antelope and ride buffalo. Their warfare tactics were brutal and efficient, raiding settlements, ambushing enemies, and vanishing before a response could be mounted. Spain's hold over the southwestern territories weakened under Comanche pressure. Their raids, particularly under cover of darkness, earned them the nickname Comanche Moon. These midnight strikes saw hundreds of warriors descending upon Mexican villages, killing men, abducting women, and stealing livestock. Horses taken from American settlers were later sold to the Spanish and Mexicans. Despite their small population of around 40,000, each Comanche typically owned multiple horses. To gain honor, young warriors needed to prove themselves through daring raids, bringing back stolen horses and scalps, and inflicting casualties on their enemies. Comanche women, too, were feared for their role in torturing captives with terrifying creativity. Captives who fell into their hands often faced fates worse than death. S.C. Gwynn, in Empire of the Summer Moon, argued that no other indigenous group inflicted as much devastation on settlers from Spain, France, Mexico, Texas, or the U.S. Torture, mutilation, and sexual violence were common in Comanche raids. In one infamous attack in 1836 on Fort Parker, a warrior lured settlers by waving a white flag. When Benjamin Parker stepped outside, he was surrounded and speared. The Comanche then stormed the fort, killing, mutilating, and abducting. Some prisoners were roasted alive, scalped while conscious, or buried up to their chins under the sun with eyelids cut off. In horrific acts, victims were sewn into rawhide, left to suffocate as it shrank. Others were staked over ant beds with their genitals severed and stuffed into their mouths. The torture extended even to enemy tribes. Tonkawa captives, for example, had limbs burned and amputated repeatedly before being silenced forever. Next, we shift our focus to the Iroquois Confederacy, a political and military alliance of the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and later the Tuscarora. They forged a powerful union across what is now the northeastern United States. Each tribe brought a unique contribution, strengthening the Confederacy's hold. The Algonquians, rivals of the Iroquois, dubbed them Iroquois, meaning rattlesnake. This name reflected their silent, deadly attacks. They were relentless in expansion, often raiding neighboring tribes and defeating foes like the Huron, Erie, and Susquehannock. From childhood, Iroquois youth trained in combat, learning to handle bows, spears, and clubs with expertise. As teenagers, they joined raids, sharpening their skills and gaining status. To ascend socially or become a war chief, one had to prove themselves in battle. Captured enemies often faced the brutal gauntlet, a painful ritual where prisoners ran between two lines of warriors beating them with branches and sticks. The Beaver Wars of the 1600s marked a bloody chapter in Iroquois history. Their conquest of rival tribes allowed them to dominate lands from Michigan's northern shores to the hills of Tennessee. Their unity was a core strength. During the French and Indian War, they stood as one, allied with the British, demonstrating their strategic foresight. As the saying goes, a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken, and the Iroquois, bound by their counsel and shared goals, remained unshaken. Finally, the Apache. Belonging to the Athabascan language group, the Apache spanned from central Texas through Arizona and into northern Mexico. Living in rugged terrain, they mastered guerrilla warfare, striking quickly, vanishing without a trace. Using traditional weapons alongside rifles and horses adopted from Spanish and American enemies, they excelled in surprise attacks. Apache warriors could fire multiple arrows while riding at full speed. They moved with remarkable agility, sometimes outrunning cavalry units on foot. Their raids were swift and effective. General Crook once described them as the tigers of the human species, ferocious, agile, and relentless. They integrated horses and steel into their tactics with ease, proving highly adaptable. Their archery was so advanced that 7 arrows could be released before the first one landed. As for captives, their treatment was merciless. Victims were skinned, burned, and brutalized. Even children weren't spared. Their fates equally grim. Within their culture, inventing new methods of torture was praised, showcasing the extent of their hardened ways. These 3 tribes, the Comanche, Iroquois, and Apache, didn't just defend their lands. They instilled fear in the hearts of all who opposed them. Their legacies are fierce, unforgettable, and deeply woven into the history of North America. Share your thoughts in the comments, give us a like, and subscribe for more.